science practices to get fast feedback on your research. Quite often when you speak to a lot of people, they'll tell you that open science practices is actually really a disadvantage to your career, but I would actually disagree. And I think because of this fast feedback principle that we're going to go through, it actually gives you an advantage over people who aren't actually adopting open science principles, but also using social media to disseminate your work. Now, when I was in undergrad psychology, almost 10 years ago, I worked in an Apple store, and this was before it was actually cool. It was before the iPhone, and we sold three things. We sold hardware, laptops and desktops, those two things, and we also sold software, apps. But the funny thing was, we actually sold them as like physical things, which is kind of weird when you think about that. Nowadays, you actually use apps on our phone, but back then, you would actually get software, physical things of software, disks that you would put into your laptop or your computer, when nowadays, most laptops don't even have an optical drive. So things kind of quaint. But back then, you have to sort of consider how hard it was for the actual software developers. This kind of way of doing things was incredibly slow and incredibly risky. In the fact that you would sort of think, okay, I'm going to have this application, hopefully people are going to like it, we're going to spend years actually working on this thing, it goes to the stores, maybe people will like it, maybe we're going to get some good reviews from magazines or whatever, and you can spend years doing it only to find out that you've been working on a flop. And you wasted your time. Your energy could have been on working on a different piece of software, a different application, but you're working on a flop because you didn't actually have any idea what the user wanted. So it used to be very slow and very risky. But like I said before, nowadays we have apps, we have services, we have things like Facebook, and these things are much, much quicker. Software development is now fast and less risky. For instance, when it comes to Facebook, when Facebook wants to introduce a new feature, let's say they want to introduce events, where you actually, right now we sort of see this as a core part of Facebook, but back when it was introduced, they actually noticed, people are starting to organise parties on people's walls, maybe we should actually do a little feature. So they started doing a very, very small, very, very simple feature for events of, do you want to come to my party? And when they actually realised, hang on, we're actually on something, they were able to devote more programming hours to actually developing this thing and developing this. And by doing that, by doing this sort of strategy, where you sort of roll it out, you get feedback, what colour do we use, what sort of options do we use, they're able to actually, with less risk, figure out what the user actually wants. But I'm not here to talk about apps, I'm here to talk about Facebook. Not so much anyway. When it comes to academia, it's funny. We're academics, we're meant to be the smart ones, yet our system is incredibly archaic. It's very, very slow and it's very, very risky. We all know how it is. We submit a paper, hopefully we get the formatting right so we don't get test rejected because we didn't use the right font or something ridiculous. And then we send it out and we spend years working on a paper. We have no idea whether people are actually going to find it useful, whether it's going to be cycled in the future. We spend years doing this stuff, only to get sent out for review. It can be under review for over a year. We don't even know. And then finally it gets out there. And then you have to wait another year until citations accrue. And then after about 3 years later, only then do you get feedback of, is my research useful? This is really slow and really risky. And you could actually waste your time working on something which isn't valuable, which especially as a PhD student, you don't want to do that. So let's reiterate. A strategy like Facebook, they have fast feedback. They continually get ideas of what is working, what is useful. Academia, the prevailing system of academia, when it comes to publication, we get very, very slow feedback. But there is a better way. You can use these open science practices, or you can use open science practices and also social media to get fast feedback on your work, to figure out, is what I'm doing interesting and is it valuable, and are people going to get something out of it? So I've put together this fast feedback funnel, which has these four elements. Of course, the manuscript we're all familiar with, but I'm going to be going through these three other points: social media, blog posts, and preprints of open code and open data. Now, social media. I think people overcomplicate how to do social media. There are all these formulas. You have to post at certain times. You have to say these certain words. You use these certain hashtags. But I think it can be boiled down to a simple sentence that to bring value, the best way to bring value in social media is either to educate or to entertain. When I'm saying entertaining, I don't mean you have to do stand-up or you have to make these production movies. experiences in your life, but these are the two things that you need to do. It's hard to be entertaining. Not many of us are like that, but every single one of us here as researchers are able to educate. We all have this knowledge. Never think that the work that you're doing is so niche that no one's going to care. The fact that you're working on it and there's going to be a journal that's going to eventually accept it means that someone cares about it. You can find those niches on social media. Those people are out there who are interested in your work. You just have to down them here. So you can educate or entertain. If you do both, all power to you. But every single one of us here can actually educate. Just take a step back a bit. The reason that people use social media is essentially to pass the time. You're on the train, you know, you're watching a kids show for the 40th time with your 2-year-old. You want to be able to pass the time to do something else. The second reason that people are doing it is to save time, to figure out what sort of tools should I be using, to get some tips on how to do research that are even just tips for your general life. And considering that these are the two primary reasons that people tend to use social media, it means that the best way to bring value is to help people pass time by posting stuff that's entertaining, or to help people save time. And this is the easy one. And this is essentially research. Every single paper that you're doing is solving a problem. As long as you actually remember that every paper is solving a problem, it really helps conceptualize for you how to actually do the research. A review is solving a problem. Because you're saving someone hours and hours of work of their own review by actually condensing it yourself. A paper is solving a problem in terms of a research question. But when you're sharing stuff on social media, you can be sharing stuff with tools that you're using. It's as simple as, this is a new R package that I use for my analysis. If you think it's handy, other people can think it's handy as well. Help people save time. The great thing I love about social media is that it reduces gatekeeping. Our current publication system, about 20 or 30 years ago, the way that it worked was, the only way to get your work out there was either to get your work published in a journal or to have your work accepted at a conference. But both those things are controlled by a small group of people who can actually determine whether your work is going to get published or not, or whether you're actually going to be able to present your work at a conference. Those days have changed now. We don't actually have the social media and blog posts, and with the new media, we can actually share our work without any gatekeeping whatsoever. And I think this is fantastic, and I think this is, especially for early career researchers. There are a number of ways to get your work known, get your work out there. One of them is to be famous. One of them is to have a famous mentor. Another one is to repeatedly win the peer review lottery. But the fourth one is to actively contribute to social media. And that's something that we can all do. Some of us aren't lucky enough to have that famous mentor or to be that famous person. But every one of us here can actively contribute to social media, which removes gatekeeping and actually produce and get our work out there. When it comes to the common objections that I hear, or that people hear when it comes to social media, the first one is, I don't have the time. And this is legit, but when I hear I don't have the time, what you're really saying is, well, it's not my priority. We all have the time. We all have a certain amount of hours that we work per week. But it's about where you're actually committing your time. And I actually think that it is worth the investment to spend your time to share and disseminate your work on social media, and to speak to other scientists, and to share your work with the public as well. So it's about a priority thing. There is the time, you need to prioritize it. The next one is, well, I don't know how to use it for research, which I think is funny, because all of us here have had to learn tools to be able to do our research. I see social media as just another tool that we can use to disseminate and to learn about our research. It is worth doing it. Everyone here is incredibly smart. That's why you're sitting here. Research it and understand it. I'm not here to do a call for how to do social media. You can do that yourself. I'm here to hopefully motivate you to do a little bit more. The next one is, this platform's a fad. You know, MySpace, where is MySpace nowadays? It's dead. It's true. I use Twitter, but I don't care whether it's gone in 2 years' time. I just think about where people's attention is right now. Right now, it happens to be on Twitter. We sort of think now, it's kind of ridiculous that journalists is on Twitter right now, because that's where everything's happening. 2 years ago, we kind of thought, journalists on Twitter, yeah, sure, we can help. I really believe that in 5-10 years' time, it's going to be the same for academics. It's going to be the case of academics not on social media. This is where all the papers are coming out, and this is where all the discussions are happening. And no matter what, every single platform is going to be one of three things. It's always going to be text, it's always going to be images, and it's always going to be audio. We don't know how that's actually going to happen. That's always going to change and evolve. But as long as you're doing those three things, you're essentially doing the same stuff. And then the final one is, it's also a legit concern. I don't have any research to share. I'm in my first year of my PhD, I'm a master's student, I have nothing to share. But I think what's more interesting than like, here is my paper, which is great, is here is my process. Actually documenting the process of you working, doing your paper, the tools that you're using, your experiences, all this sort of stuff. Even interesting papers that you're reading. There's always something to share when you're working and doing your work. Share your process, not just your outcomes. Now, for blog posts, like I said before, there are only so many hours that you can work a day. But a blog post, 24/7. And that also works for a podcast as well. A podcast works 24/7. And people can always be reading your work. So I think it's really worth the investment of actually sharing your work as a blog. And often this can be a little bit more informal. So it's a fantastic way of actually getting your work out there. If you want to get started, I'll recommend Medium is a great place to get a free blog. It looks great, it's very easy. I guess the con is that it's a for-profit platform, so we don't actually know where it's going to be in a few years' time, and it's a bit hazy as to whether they know your work. But hey, it's a good place to start, and I've got a Medium account, and it works quite well, and especially for sharing your work. But I would recommend build your own website and have full control, and you can do this in under an hour. I put up a tutorial on my blog, dsmccarter.blog, where you can actually build your own website under an hour. And this is including people who are new to art, or maybe it took them an hour and a half. But it's completely possible to build your own website. And as an early career researcher, it is crucial to have your own website, I think. It's great that the institution offers a website for you to share your work. But when you have your own website, you have full control. And this guide is specifically targeted for academics. So there are sections for your research plans, your papers, publications, CV, all that. If you don't think people are Googling you, even as a PhD student, you are kidding yourself. When you are submitting papers, reviewers are Googling you. When people are looking for presenters for conferences or presenters for seminars, people are Googling you. What are they going to find? Are they going to find your university website with a little bit of information, or are they going to find your own blog where you can actually control what people are going to see about you? This is a really, really good tool. So I really recommend setting this up. So yeah, under an hour if you're good with art, and about an hour and a half if you work new to art with this guide. Okay, so the whole idea with this sort of fast feedback funnel is that, say I get an idea and maybe I can sort of put it out there on Twitter, and people might go, this is great, and I might get some really nice feedback that this works really well, and that sort of gives me the idea, okay, maybe I'm going to develop this a little bit more. And then that evolves into a blog post. And then if that blog post goes really well, okay, that actually might evolve into a preprint. And this has happened a number of times for me, where I've had an idea and it's just started as a tweet, and then it's evolved from there. And this is a really good way of, rather than waiting 3 or 4 years to figure out how people are actually interested in this, you can actually use this fast feedback funnel to figure out very early on whether you should persist with an idea or whether you should pivot somewhere else. It's a really, really powerful tool. Now, preprints and open data and code. I'm a little bit over-optimistic sometimes, and I did a seminar a few months ago, and I was like, yeah, this is great, just post it on Twitter and you can get feedback straight away. Ask a question, you can get feedback. And demonstrated, I asked the crowd in the first half of the seminar, does anyone have under 50 followers? I just want to do a little experiment. And I'm like, yeah, cool. So I found someone, and I'm like, we're going to ask a question. I'm going to demonstrate that even someone with a few followers can get an answer to the question. I was very excited that I was going to use it as an example. He does it, and then I'm waiting. Nothing. Absolutely diddly squat. And I learned a lot there. So when you actually do want to get feedback on your work or on your preprint, just ask people. Simply ask people. And the best way to do that is ask the people that you're citing in your preprint or in your work. People have a vested interest in making sure that their work is interpreted correctly. So if you're working on your preprint and you can email someone going, hey, let's put this preprint, and I actually, I cited all your work. Would you mind checking it to actually see whether I've interpreted it correctly? They will read your preprint and they'll give you feedback. And if you're lucky, they'll read the entire thing. I've always had that, and people were like correcting my references, like you missed a period here. I'm like, wow, this is incredible. Make sure this is a surefire way of actually getting feedback on your work. Is just asking people. The worst they're going to say is no, they're going to be annoyed. Fine, email someone else. This is a way to get feedback on your preprints. There are 3 things to look for when it comes to posting your work. Does the platform have a longevity plan? If they ran out of money tomorrow, how long will your work be there? We like to crap on journals a lot, but the good thing about the for-profit journals is they have longevity plans, so that your papers are going to last for decades. There are some platforms which this isn't clear. So if you're relying on academia.edu or ResearchGate, then those are for-profit platforms, and it's not really clear where your work is going to be in 2 years' time or 3 years' time. So make sure the platform actually has a longevity plan. Like I mentioned before, is it non-profit? It makes quite a difference. And is it easy to use? A lot of universities, including ours, have open access repositories, and they're great and it's fantastic, and universities should have this sort of system, but they can be a little tricky to use. But there are a number of alternatives. There's a few out there which fit these criteria, but the one that I like the best is Open Science Framework, because it actually helps you across the whole life cycle of your research. When it comes to organising your work with your collaborators, when it comes to designing your study, you can pre-register your hypothesis-driven studies on Open Science Framework. You can also store your data there, and you can share your data and share your preprints. It does a whole life cycle of research, and it's free, and it's super easy to use with great support. So if you do want to be posting your data and your scripts, this is great. A lot of people, not everyone uses R, and that's fine. And there are a lot of R zealots. You need to use R, otherwise you hate science. That is not the case. There are ways of doing transparent and reproducible analyses that anyone can do who doesn't have an SPSS license without coding. There are 2 software packages that are great for this. One that's called JASP, and one that's called Jamovi. They're very similar because they run off the same code. And you can do basically most of the analyses that you can do in SPSS, you can do in JASP and Jamovi, and you can post these things online, you can post the data, people can actually look through and see exactly the analysis that you did for transparent work. So these are really, really good tools, and if you know how to use SPSS, it's a very similar thing. It's point and click, it's open access, it's open software, and it's fantastic. And they're constantly adding, SPSS hasn't evolved in a very long time. They just added base factors last year, even though they should have done that about a decade ago. But these software packages are actively developed and actively funded. Now, I probably heard, I can hear a lot of the clinical folks thinking here, I can't share my patient's data. Yeah. And I have a solution. I have a solution for you. Okay, so, and that's a legitimate concern. You speak to a lot of people, and they're like, hey, can I share data? And then I'm asking, well, what are you thinking? I work in psychophysics. I do reaction times. I'm like, seriously, there's no privacy concerns there. But of course, when you're working with patients or with sensitive populations, there are difficulties in sharing their data because it's private, and it's completely understandable. There's a way around that. But before we get there, I want to talk to you about the benefits of sharing data, and the first one is the verification of your analyses so other people can actually verify the results that you've got. And this is really important when it comes to reproducible science. Whether you like it or not, we are in the midst of a reproducibility crisis, and a lot of that is because we haven't actually been able to verify the analysis that people have done. The second benefit is generation of new knowledge. Sometimes you may miss a hypothesis, or you may miss looking at the relationship between 2 variables. If your data is there and open, other people can actually look at it and go, hey, I think you missed something, how about you do this? And related to that is also the generation of new hypotheses as well. So you can do that, and you can say, well, we have something interesting here. It's purely sort of just exploratory. For our next study, we can do something cool. But you can't do that unless your data is open. There is a solution, and the solution is called SynthPop, a really cool sounding R package, which is very easy to use. The reason it's called SynthPop is it's short for synthetic populations. And the origin of SynthPop was used for census data. And this is like tens of thousands of people. You might ask questions like, what's the impact of a certain intervention on school outcomes, for instance? But this is sensitive information, so they need to find a way of actually creating synthetic versions of data that actually you can still get the same sort of outcomes. And the synthetic data set, what it does is it mimics the original data set by preserving the same statistical properties. So you can actually run your analyses, and you're going to get almost the same mean and standard deviation and confidence interval. All these statistical properties are actually maintained between the original data set and the synthetic data set. Except you're not actually testing the same people. incredibly simple to run in R. It's even people who are familiar with R can use this. And what it does is it basically uses a version of multiple imputation and takes the observed data set and then creates a synthetic data set. And no single individual in the synthetic data set actually represents a real individual in the observed data set. So you can share this and nothing is the same. Nothing is the same and no one can be identified because it's not real, but it is real because it shares the same relationships. Very, very easy to use. I've written a tutorial preprint on how to use this. I got extremely excited because I'm always, I really do want to share my data. I wanted to share the data from my clinical trials, but I couldn't because there's not that many people with autism aged between 20 and 30 in Oslo. You can't share these things because it's very easy to identify. But there is a way when you actually, by using SynthPop, you can actually maintain the same frequency. So here, the light blue distributions are the observed data set, and the dark blue is synthetic. So the distributions of the data are almost exactly the same. So that gives you broad general utility. So that tells you that overall, like the data sets share a lot of similarities. But more importantly, there is specific utility. So the analyses that you present in your paper, whether you do it with the synthetic or the original, are almost exactly the same. So we can see these coefficient estimates and confidence intervals almost precisely overlap. So even though the data isn't real or doesn't represent real people, you still get the same outcome. So when you share this data, people can reproduce your data, they can see exactly what you did, and they can also do hypothesis testing. This stuff is magic. And only 2 studies have used it so far within the biomedical sciences, but I think it's going to be an explosion. And it's really exciting. So I would highly recommend you check this out. And we're currently testing this in neuroimaging data to see can we actually take neuroimaging data and do the same thing. So that's looking good so far. So I have to see how that pans out. Here's the preprint if you're interested on how to actually do this. Very, I'm still relatively new to art, so I tend to write these things from that sort of perspective of like, what if someone's completely new? So it's really, really easy to follow. Okay, I love Norway. It is the best country to live in. But during November, I reconsider my choices. Because this is where I used to live. So when I grew up, this is Bondi Beach, and when I grew up, we'd often have friends and family overseas visiting, and we'd go for a swim. And they're like, I want to go for a swim, but I'm worried about jellyfish, I'm worried about sharks. Like, am I going to get stung? Am I going to get bit? And look, I can't lie to them. I can't tell them, well, there is no chance you're going to get a bad jellyfish sting. There's no chance a shark's going to take that big bite out of you. But there is literally almost no chance when it comes to sharks. So the risk is there. It's tiny. And growing up, if I let that risk sort of hold me back on the beach, I wouldn't have had a fun childhood growing up. When it comes to actually sharing your data, sharing your preprints, it's exactly the same thing. Like, bad jellyfish things are possible, but they're extremely rare. And when it comes to your data, a lot of people are worried about, if I share my preprints, if I share my data, I'm going to get scooped. And it's going to defeat the purpose. And these things are extremely rare. I remember seeing someone put out a challenge. I'll send anyone anywhere in the world a bottle of whiskey. They show me evidence they've been scooped. No takers. And it was expensive whiskey as well. Absolutely no takers. So there's very, very few stories. I think there's maybe 1 or 2 that are profile where it's actually happened. The risk is extremely, extremely low. And doing this is dumb. It's really, really dumb because the data is public and everyone can clearly see that the data was stolen from somewhere else. So even if this was to happen, it's the dumbest crime you can possibly do. So I think the worry about having a data scoop is incredibly overblown. But then if this actually happens, so quite often what happens within cell biology, a lot of people are working on very specific problems. So they're not sharing the data getting scooped, but they're getting scooped in the sense that somebody publishes their idea before they do. So they're working independently. And so I actually did a study to see what is the impact on future citations when you actually do get scooped in this fashion. And it really isn't that bad. So even if it was to happen, and the likelihood is very small, you're not going to lose that many citations. And let me say again, this is only in the context of when people are working independently on the same problem. So this is like a really good case scenario, not in the worst case scenario of your data being scooped. Now the final thing I want to talk about is these press releases. Doing stuff with social media and preprints is great. But I think we have to recognise that not everyone uses social media. Not everyone is reading preprints. And it's important that we're actually presenting our work to the public. And press releases are one of the best ways that we can do that. I would recommend, don't wait for the press office to come to you and go, oh, hey, we saw your paper. Can we talk about it? That's not going to happen. I really encourage that you actually put together a press release, working with your team, and actually go to the press office and say, hey, we're having your paper. Here's a summary. That's really how press releases work. It's not the press office are writing reading a paper. You give them a draft and they help you out. When it comes to press releases, it takes a bit of practice, but it's basically just not promoting, but basically summarising in layperson's terms your work to the public. And once it's actually posted on sites such as Alpha Galileo, then other news sites can actually take it up. And getting your work out there, previously people didn't used to worry about it, but now more and more when it comes to new jobs or when it comes to grant applications, people are actually thinking about, is your research having an impact in the public sphere? And by doing press releases, that can really help that. Because a lot of people and a lot of papers are assessed now by what's called altmetrics or alternative metrics. And one of the ways to actually one of the ways to get a high score is for your work to be featured in news outlets. But more importantly, it's a way for the public to actually see the sort of work that you're doing. So press releases, and yeah, we have some great press officers where we are. When you put it together, they can help you. They can help you improve it as well because they know what the journalists like and the public likes. And something I've done as well is I've actually just contacted journalists over Twitter, going, hey, I've sent them a message over this paper. What do you think? What's the worst thing to say? Oh no, I'm too busy. I've had that. But I've also had some go, this is great, let's talk. So you can actually go directly to journalists as well, which is another option. Okay, to close up, I mean, academia is full of uncertainty. We don't know where we're going to be. I don't know where I'm going to be in a few years' time or if I'm going to run down. It's full of uncertainty. We don't know where our tech is going to go, but using the fast feedback concept, we can actually reduce this uncertainty as much as possible. We can actually have a better understanding of, is our work actually going to have some impact, rather than taking a guess and putting a lot of work out there for not to have impact in the future. So, thanks for your attention and very happy to take questions. Cool. Great. Yes?
I can ask one. It was very interesting about the synthetic data.
Yeah.
So you experience that it looks the same, like synthetic looks the same as the real data.
Not always. So you have to check diagnostics. So you always have to check. By default, it might actually look the same, but other times it might not look the same. And that all depends on the parameters you put into the model. So sometimes, depending on what variable you put in first, can affect it and make it easy to make the model more accurate or less accurate. So there are certain ways you can make your data set bigger or smaller. So there are certain caveats. It doesn't always automatically work. You might have to change some parameters, but for smaller data sets, it seems to work really well. Yeah, it's just a matter of checking whether it works and checking the diagnostics. But generally speaking, in my experience with the diagnostics I've worked with, it's pretty accurate.
Because only yesterday I talked with one guy, and it's about sequencing data. And actually, he said it's never the same. So I work with some data from RAS, it's not sensitive, and he asked me to put to an Excel platform, to have example of real data, and he said, within the package we have synthetic example, and it's working perfectly with it. But real data is never the same as synthetic data. And actually I cannot say yes, because I did not grow on this, it's not my data, it's animals that come from, I'm just analyzing, but it's interesting that you said that in some examples it's working, but at least what he said that it's for sequencing, it's...
Well, I mean, it could be exactly the same in the sense that it gives you the same outcomes, it gives you the same sort of results as in this treatment works, for instance. Maybe if you're lucky, you can get it's never going to be exactly the same, but it's going to be, for the purpose of showing the data when it comes to reproducibility, it's in many cases, it's close enough to what we want.
Thank you, great talk. I have a related question. How do multivariate methods, if you create synthetic data and instead of comparing that values, you
this is what we're looking at, because as well as preserving the statistical properties, it also preserves the multivariate relationships between the variables.
Okay, great.
So in principle, yes, it should. Yeah, but like I said, you always have to check. But yeah, it should. Yeah.
Very recently made a Twitter post where I wanted to ask peers in the same field as I work in what tools they're using for something specific, and put a bunch of hashtags in there to make it visible.
Yeah.
No response. How do you use
Tag the experts. Tag up, put their names in, ask them directly.
Okay.
And if they don't know the answer, they'll chances are they'll give it to other people to do as well. So like I said, like doing that, just putting it out there sometimes doesn't work, but if you actually directly ask them by just putting their Twitter handle in there, quite often, not always, but quite often they'll respond. Just put the experts in there. Daniel.
Yeah, thanks for the talk, Dan. Could you talk us through how you would summarize, or how you do summarize an article on, let's say, Twitter, for example?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, by doing that, I would use the thread where you actually combine different tweets. And basically, I like telling the story of the actual research. None of the papers I do are by accident. I always sort of came to this sort of reason because this paper was interesting, I did X, Y, Z, here's the background. So it's basically going through the story of the paper, going through the results, using as many images as possible to actually demonstrate the results. Making it all fun, adding in an odd GIF. You don't want to add the entire thing as GIFs. But yeah, I think some people take this too seriously, and social media I think can be fun. And just going through and sharing the actual work. And the good thing about Twitter threads is it might have sort of 10 or 20 tweets. You never know which particular tweet people are actually going to resonate with the most. So you might do this thing, and then it might be sort of like we use this method, and people are like, this is amazing, and that's the one that gets focused on. You don't know. You don't know what people want. But yeah, it's a fantastic way of sharing research by actually putting together. I mean, it's nice to actually say within a single tweet, but it's only like 240 characters. You can't say much. But having a thread, you can actually tell the story of your work. You can show your figures, you can show your results, and your conclusions there.
Can you show an example of that, how you have done it?
Yeah, sure.
Because I think it's interesting to see how you actually do it in real life. And I think you do it very well.
Yeah, dark mode.
Yeah,
Good man.
dark mode. Alright. Slipping big. Alright, so here is a paper from earlier this year. Yeah. So basically the first tweet is just the announcement and using some images. This paper lent to it very well because there was a lot of very nice images for this paper. Importantly, I tagged the journal because that helps because I would usually retweet it, and a link to the paper, and announcing that it's actually a thread. Started off with a bit of the history about why I was actually interested in this. In this context, it was looking at that oxytocin is an evolutionary agent neuropeptide. Going through more images, more stories, including citations, tagging some of the people that I'm citing as well. This is a big guy in our field, or a very prominent researcher. And then going through the work, a picture of you guys, because I mean, research is never done, almost never done as a single person. So this is acknowledging that this is a team effort. And then going through the methods, what I actually did, making it as image heavy as possible. Going through the results, talking through it, trying to keep it like not too technical for sort of like a broad sort of scientific audience. Going through this stuff, more results. Explaining sort of some of the sort of struggles that I came across and how we actually solved it. More of the effects, implications. Another sort of callback, another reason why I actually did research. And it was actually inspired by this paper written in 2015. And since then, I'm like, I have to address this. And I'm so glad that I finally did. But it was literally this quote, which has driven so much of my research for the past few years. And then, yeah, this conclusion, and of course, thanking the So yeah, that is and people seem to enjoy it. So that it was it's a really good way to actually share that, and let's have a look at how many people have seen this. Cool, 160,000 times, not bad. 900 people have clicked on the journal article, so it's a good way to share your research.
That was quite long. I mean, you can do it in 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah, of course,
But
yeah.
to sum up very briefly, why did you do this study? What did you find out? And what was the conclusion in a way? And just showing some pictures.
Yeah, it can be, I mean, 2, 3 or 4, you can do it. But I mean, the good thing is you can sort of do it as long as you want, or as long as this was pretty complex analysis, so I just didn't take time to go through it. But of course, you can do it in 3 or 4. But yeah, that is an example of great. So yeah, great suggestion. Any other questions? Yeah, like seriously, email me. Just knock on my office, contact me if you're interested in how to actually do this, because I think, especially to your researchers, it's so good for your career. And I've just gotten so many benefits from it, learned so much. It's been a great experience actually contributing to social media.
Do you use Facebook at all for research?
A little bit. So I've set up a sort of, I've separated my personal Facebook, I don't really use it much anyway. And I've set up like an author page. Sounds very fancy, but it's not. So it's a separate sort of page, just my pages. I recognize that some people don't use Twitter, and I share the research there. I don't put too much time into it. Unfortunately, with Facebook is so popular that the only way for your posts to actually get reach is to pay for advertising. I don't have money, unfortunately, so I can't do that. So with Twitter, you get a disproportionate amount of reach. All it takes is one person to retweet or to reply to your tweet, and it's out there. With Facebook, it's much more difficult to actually get your work there. But I think we need to recognise that a lot of people use social media differently. I put a little bit of time into it. Any sort of papers, I'll post them on my page. But that's about it. But definitely it is sort of, it's worth putting a little bit of time into. But just my experience, I get sort of much more back from Twitter. Okay, cool. Got that up then. Thank you.
The sound break, and we got